So today, we are actually going to be hitting the ground running with arguably one of the biggest challenges when it comes to the nomadic lifestyle and off-grid living. And that is where and how you're going to take a
Hi there, and welcome to Healthy Trails. I'm Steven.
And I'm Jackie, and together we created Healthy Trails to bring wellness to you.
We're traveling around the U.S. in our self-converted school bus and home on wheels to meet you where you're at and help guide you along your individual wellness journey. We can't wait to explore and adventure with you as we navigate together towards a happier and healthier life.
All right, y'all. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is going to be a good solid 10 plus minutes of me talking about toilets. Yes, I can't tell you how much seemingly useless information I now possess and how many hours of research that went into toilets to coming up with the best solution for our off-grid Skoolie conversion. So throw this sucker on 2x speed, and I will tell you everything and anything you could possibly want to know on composting toilets, including the smell, and explain why we chose this option for our Skoolie conversion. All right, so before getting into all the smelly details of composting toilets, figured we would go over the options that we didn't choose and why we didn't choose these options as well. And honestly, it was sort of process of elimination. So for one, we did not want to deal with the complexity in plumbing that's associated with the standard RV style toilets. We also didn't want to have to seek out those black water dumping stations. And honestly, we just didn't want to have to deal with that poop hose. Yo, where do you store the poop hose? And although the cassette style, Porta Potty style toilet did seem fairly appealing. It's small, self-contained. It's got the separate waste compartment that can be taken off and taken into restrooms. But, always a but. The pooping, guys. The pooping. Ugh. We heard horror stories about using this for number 2, both the practicality of dumping it and the smell. We know it's a super popular option with a lot of the van life and Skoolie conversion, RV conversion crew. So if you have this option, hop in the comments. I'd love to know about your personal experience with it. And we've also got a honorable mention going out to the vacuum toilet, aka the space toilet, aka the giant diaper genie, which if you can get around the $750 price tag, is a super low maintenance option, but honestly, it's the cartridges that kind of killed us. I think it comes out to about $2 a flush when you factor in the price of having to buy those new cartridges each time. So just a little outside of our personal budget when it came for a toilet. And also, winner of by far the coolest toilet award goes to the Incinerator Toilet, which literally reduces your waste to ash. Also, is the smidge outside of the budget as well. $2,000 plus. But if you've got an extra $2,000 plus and a massive battery bank, would be an awesome option. All right. So finally, back on composting toilets. Essentially, what a composting toilet is and does basically separates your solid and liquid wastes into 2 separate areas. And by not mixing the two, theoretically, you're not mixing the bacteria that would cause that traditional smell, especially in a porta potty setting. Yeah, sounds scientific. You also eliminate the need for any chemicals. And traditionally, this separation then is done by some form of a urine diverter. So something that's going to sit in the front, capture that liquid waste and take that to one holding tank, and then the back section, which is going to hold all of that solid waste. This is typically going to be mixed in the back with some form of absorbent material to help the decomposing. So sawdust is a really good absorbent one. Peat moss is super popular, and I believe it has some bacteria actually present in the peat moss that
helps that decomposition process along and neutralizes some of the odor. So that's a very popular option as well. And I believe coconut coir or cocoa coir, if I'm saying that right, is another one. This one I think is a little bit more expensive than it might be worth. But if I am not mistaken, they actually make a specific product, the poo-poo pucks, I believe they're so eloquently called.
Poo-poo pucks? God, people monetize anything these days.
I could try to find those and link those if you're interested as well. But basically, any sort of a decomposition agent, bulking agent, absorbing agent that is going to help that decomposition process along would work just fine. And essentially, then you're left with a decomposing waste in the back, hence the composting toilet name. And to help that process, some of the composting toilets have built-in agitators that sort of stir everything up. In other off-grid applications, people just take a little bit of peat moss and sprinkle it over the deposits, and you're good to go, right? So that's basically the idea when it comes to these types of toilets.
Bro, give it up. You're pooping in a bucket with sawdust, all right? Get off your high horse.
So, full disclosure, if you are using this in a mobile setting, in a van, in a bus, in an RV, you're not really going to have a fully decomposed waste in the back. Although you will probably have something that is a little bit more earthy smelling, something that somewhat resembles dirt, depending on the model that you have. It's not going to be dirt, right?
Tell me I did not just watch 8+ minutes of you talking about toilets to find out that a composting toilet doesn't turn my poop into dirt?
The traditional composting toilet, in a more permanent setting, if you have an off-grid cabin, I've seen these in, they will have an area of land that they actually reserve off, and you can take all of that solid waste and that compost outside for up to a year or more before that's actually dirt. And then sometimes they'll use that in gardens or whatever, right? Because you've got that fertilizer, there's no chemicals. But if you are using this in the mobile setting, although it is still practical, there is a misconception that you basically are just going to be left with dirt. That's just not going to happen. And as for dumping, actually, the liquid waste you can take into any public restroom, gas station, whatever, and just dispose of that in the toilet.
Okay. So you're just going to walk right into that gas station with your jug full of urine. Okay. This just keeps getting better.
The solid waste, most you can bag up and throw it away. If you are in a more remote setting, you're off-grid, definitely check with the local laws and regulations, the land regulations regarding disposing of human waste. But you may also even just be able to bury that waste, assuming that everything is biodegradable. So very practical disposal options for this type of toilet as well. Very environmentally friendly to boot. And now what you've been waiting for, the smell, right? Because I know we've all heard that rumor that these types of toilets, the composting toilets, have absolutely no odor, and they beat the traditional household toilets out of the water. And although it is true, there's also a little bit of a gray area here that we can talk about a little bit more in depth as well.
Hold on. So you're telling me that pooping in a bucket and peeing in a jug doesn't smell?
So when people talk about composting toilets not smelling at all, they usually have a built-in ventilation fan as well that's going to suck a lot of that smell out. They also may or may not have a longer trap for the urine collection. So if these two things are taken care of, there's a great chance that you really won't smell a whole lot of anything
in your composting toilet. That said, in the mobile setting, it's a little bit more hit or miss. There's definitely going to be a little bit of odor.
Yep. Knew it!
Associated, especially from the urine, actually. So I will talk about a few ways to combat that smell in any application, and some of the protocols that we do with our toilet at the end. But yes, there is still a little bit of smell. So going into, again, some of the pros, wrapping up on composting toilets. So one, no plumbing, right? No black tanks, no chemicals, no dumping stations. There's no need for specific toilet paper. They're going to be more environmentally friendly, and there is much, much less of a smell compared to your typical porta potty style toilet. Now, if all of these pros have got you feeling like composting toilets are the way to go, then we can compare a bit of the best composting toilet options that are out there on the market today. And the cheapest one, I believe there's probably three that are leading in contention here. The cheapest would be the Sea Head, which is probably going to go around $750 to $850. The Nature's Head, which is closer to $1,000 or more, maybe just under $1,000. And then the most expensive option is going to be the Airhead, and that'll probably run you just a little bit over $1,000 or more. Another one that was thrown in there as well, I believe, is the Sunmar. So another one to look up potentially if you are in the market for buying one of these. But I'm gonna be real with you guys though. I, for one, did not have $1,000 plus to blow on a glorified bucket to poop into. So you might want to do your own research there to find out which is best, because I definitely didn't. All right, y'all. I think that is enough toilet talk for one day from me. If you did make it this far, really appreciate you for sticking around. And if you, like ourselves, decided that the composting toilet was the correct option for you and your off-grid needs, and you, like ourselves, do not have the $1,000+ budget required for the high-end composting toilets, check out part 2 of my toilet series. I cannot believe I'm doing a toilet series, where I will go into detail on how we actually built our own do-it-yourself composting toilet for a fraction of the cost of the leading models that are out there. So if that's you, I'll see you in part 2.